Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Fuel R/Racing Track Designs IndyCar series. And today we're going to be having some road course racing here at Silverstone. We're running the legacy racetrack of the 2008 Grand Prix scheme. So this is going to be a lot more interesting for these drivers to run. It's a different course than what the modern day drivers run at the moment. But it's going to be a blast for everyone that is here. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Anthony McCurry. And Anthony, it's a little bit of IndyCars at F1 tracks. It's going to be different for these drivers, but it's going to be quick.
It's definitely going to be quick. The legacy layout of the track, of course, the track was reconfigured in 2010 to what we have the current layout. This is before that. This is the it's the bridge layout when they, instead of having the front the start and the front stretch on the exit of Club, this is the old start finish straight going into Cops. So a lot of old F1 fans will recognize the circuit. It's a fast circuit. It's a much more aero dependent. Well, not really as much aero dependent as there's a lot of straights compared to the new circuit. We're going to see some great racing action. And these Indy cars, they're kind of like some classic Formula One cars in the way that they're, they don't have as much aero as the new cars, and they're not as powerful as the old cars were. But we're going to see a nice balance, and it could bring about some nice racing tonight.
It really should, as it's going to be 35 laps here at Silverstone, and we're missing a couple of drivers that we're used to seeing top runners here, as we don't have Nicholas Johnson or Barrett Rolfe. He is not here, as well as, actually I take that back, Barrett Rolfe is here. It's Jason Brophy that is not here, as both our two-time winners are not here at this race, but a driver that we are having as our favorite, Riley Thompson, on top of the board, getting the pole here today as we go through the grid. And then also we have a new face in town, Zach Buchanan, and the 40 machine on the other side of this front row.
It's a fast front row too. They were putting down some really fast laps in practice and qualifying. Nice to see them at the front row. There's a lot of drivers in this race. We have a pretty stacked field. 2 weeks ago when we were in Richmond, we had a nice field as well. That race was a very fast race. A number of laps we ran, the lap times sometimes under 20 seconds. Now we're at a much longer track. A road course. In fact, it's one of the most famous road courses in the world. What's your mindset have to be to take on? First off, you took on Richmond 2 weeks ago. Now you got to readjust your mind for Silverstone.
Yeah, I mean, you went from, and then previously to that, we were even at a road course. We were at Belle Isle, where we saw a lot of drivers having some wrecks and carnage there. But these drivers are really going to have to focus in. We know that the road course drivers and the aces are coming out, like Riley Thompson. It's always a favorite, and honestly, it was always Riley Thompson, Mitch Welker, and Nicholas Johnson that were up front. Having Zach Buchanan up here is going to be a different face for these drivers to worry about, but it's going to be a fun race for them overall. Like we said, this is 35 laps here. These drivers are going to have to pit one time during this run, but I mean, for these guys that are pitting, a lot of drivers thinking about pitting early or even stretching as far as they can.
The longer you go, the more your tires will get worn in, and we're not really sure what the tire degradation at this track is. Again, this is before the repave, so the track surface is a little bit more worn in than the new one would be. So the tires might be an issue tonight, and I think the fuel will make it much further than halfway. It's just a matter of, do you want the fresher rubber earlier in the race, run some fast laps, and then hope that you've got a big enough lead that you can hold off all the drivers behind? Or do you go for a different strategy? Do you run as long as you can, run consistent laps, and hope that your consistency wins you the race?
I'd imagine most of these drivers thinking about stretching as far as they can so their car is at the lightest and the fastest to finish out this race. But this is race number 7 of 14, and some of these drivers able to miss a race or two because there are drop races in this league. But man, it is putting yourself in a hole if you've missed more than just a couple. And that's kind of where Nicholas Johnston is in at the moment. But leading the way with the pole, Riley Thompson, This driver in the 56 car is someone that we know has pace at these road courses. It's all about the consistency if he can get the win here, as like we saw at our last road course, first lap, second corner, our whole entire top 5 were practically all wiped out in one corner. We'll have to wait and see if people can survive the first couple of corners here at Silverstone, which I would imagine they would be able to here, Anthony. I mean, this track is a lot more well-known. It's not as bumpy and as aggressive as a street road course was, like Belle Isle was.
Right, it's a much larger track. There's a lot of runoff here, so if you do have an off-track moment, there's a chance to get back on and keep going. As we're coming through turn 16 left field, we're going to get these drivers underway as the safety car pulls off. Going down through the turn 7, we're going to set these Indy cars. Green flag is in the air, and we're racing here at Silverstone.
Riley Thompson out with a fantastic start. Then he's got Mitch Welker, Zach Buchanan, and the rest of the field all trying to figure out how they're going to get lined up. Everyone's single file at the moment.
Through Cops they go, down into Maggots and Beckett's. They're going to run. Riley Thompson's got a big run going into these fast chicanes. And it looks like back here we got Mitch Welker, who jumped Zach Buchanan on the start. He's going to be running in second place. Liam Quinn is going to be coming up through the field right in front of Danny Roberts as they go back onto the hangar straight.
Liam Quinn, we haven't really talked about much, as Zach Buchanan making a pass for second place underneath Mitch Welker. Liam Quinn, always a factor for these long strategy calls on fuel strategy, something a little bit bolder than what everyone else would do. So keep your eyes out for that 44 machine, as Liam Quinn is having a little bit of action there with Danny Roberts. Roberts spinning it around and losing it, looping it in the back.
And that's a really dangerous part of the racetrack to be coming into club. That's going to have a lot of drivers that's going to try and get on the power and have to avoid them. That's going to compromise a lot of drivers' runs, but it looks like he's gotten back going the right direction. So no harm, no foul. That car is back going. We're still green.
Still green, and the lead gap is now 2.5 seconds. Riley Thompson took off like a rocket ship and hasn't looked back as that battle for second place still underway as Mitch Welker spins it around now.
Welker around in 15, I believe that was, and he spins in front of the field. He's got to make it, park it. I think he's got it back going. He has. Wow, that was a mistake that I didn't think we'd expect out of Welker.
Another car that we haven't talked about, but that is Christian Alacio. He's also someone that spun out back in 18th position. A car that started out on pit road. That's going to be the 49 of Brett Jones. Going to be starting in the back end, is a little bit too far back at the moment, but he'll be trying to work his way forward. With how many cars we've seen have issues this early on, I'm starting to get nervous about other machines if they're going to have any issues. If we move back for the battle for 13th, Mitch Welker has gotten by Will Roberts.
Yeah, and he's on a tear. He's got a fast car. He's got to try and figure out a way to get back there. Looks like that Adams is going to get passed by Welker now, as now he sets his sights on Sarah Tessum. Sarah Tessum's got a bit of a gap, and now she's actually passed Kyle Pokrefke for the 10th position. So Sarah Tessum on a bit of a tear as they go down in what is now the new final turns going onto the front stretch. But now this is actually club going down into Abbey.
Yeah, still around the middle of this course where these drivers trying to figure out where they're going to be setting up, as Mitch Welker going to be able to get by Pokrefke, and Sarah Tessum now setting up Chad Simpson, able to move herself up now to 9th place and moving Chad Simpson back to 10th. I mean, all the battling and passing is going on in the back of the field, as Will Roberts now getting by Evan Adams. It's going to be Danny Roberts going 3 wide and making that pass in the 41.
Danny Roberts really wants to get back to the front. He also has a fast car, and he got caught out. He's made 2 passes in 2 turns. Now he's back to 12th. He's going to set his sights on Welker as they both try to make their way through the field. This is a really good charge up through the field. We got to keep an eye on these two. You know that they're going to be hungry to get back up there. You got to think, though, that their tires might be a little bit more worn out, though, after they've had those spins, so they got to be careful. They might be on an alternate strategy. He's behind him. Will Roberts goes off the track, and it looks like, I think that was Adams that hit the wall. No, that's Pokrefke that hit the wall.
Pokrefke looks like he's going to have to teleport it to pit road. Heavy damage for the 77, and it looks like that could be the day end for that machine.
I think he got a little loose entering. I think he was coming out of Cops where they were, and it just got onto the power too early, and it went off the track onto the rumble strip, and that was all it took to spin that machine around. And man, that's got to be disheartening for a driver. So early on in the race, you had a good run. Tough break for that car.
Right now on board with Will Roberts is trying to get by Evan Adams, and Also up front, once we see this battle, trying to figure out where they're going to go with this. Will Roberts, someone that was quick, had some issues trying to get by as well in front of them. You've got Danny Roberts right on the back bumper of Chad Simpson, and Chad has been having a lot of cars on his back bumper, and slowly everyone is getting by this 46.
Yeah, Roberts has made the pass into turn 15. They come going into left field. Roberts has been on one whale of a run, and he's continuing it. Another battle that we've got going on the track that's heating up is actually the battle for what's going to be the third place position, because Barrett Rolfe is actually being caught by Cohen Evans and Liam Quinn. And Liam Quinn and Evans have been in a battle for the last lap and a half, and now that they're catching, this is going to be a battle for this third place position pretty soon. As going down Hanger, they're going to catch them.
4 laps into this race, and you're starting to see the drivers that have really started to hit their the momentum and their rhythm so far in this racetrack, because Silverstone is quick, and it's all about hitting your rhythm points and getting through these corners the best that you can. And right now, it's looking like Riley Thompson is the one who is doing the best at that in front of the field. Still over 2.5 second gap on second place of Zach Buchanan.
And that lead seems to grow each lap we go through the bridge section now. And it seems like that car's got the best setup going. I think all these drivers run the same setup in this league, but Thompson has been able to figure out this racetrack. And, this car combo with this track, it shows that just because it's an old track doesn't mean that these newer cars can't tear it up.
Yeah, it's not showing any difference, as another pass that went on in the back of the field. Mitch Welker is now up to 9th place, pushing Sarah Tessam back to 10th. Mitch Welker, who was up in 2nd place before he spun around, dropped all the way back to 15th, now all the way up to 9th place. A great rebound so far for Mitch Welker.
Yeah, he needs to have this good rebound after that spin. We've kind of settled into a bit of a lull period for these drivers. They're kind of getting settled in. We're 5 laps into the race. Your top 3 as they stand are Thompson, Buchanan, and Rolfe. Sam, we're in that little weird period after the start of the race where everyone's just trying to figure out, okay, now that these tires are broken in, now that all the chaos of the first few laps are in, now I can start running this race my way. Now we're kind of seeing just how much pace some of these drivers actually have versus they did when they were battling each other.
Yeah, pass made. Liam Quinn now back up to 4th place after getting by Cohen Evans there. And yeah, these drivers really finally settling in, as we were talking about Chad Simpson and his woes of dropping back as they continue, as I believe there might have been a little bit of contact between Will Roberts and Simpson there. As Will Roberts going to make that pass for 12th place. Simpson back to 13th.
Yeah, that battle has been heating up over the last few laps. It just seems that they can't get away from each other on track, and this is a battle that's going to keep going for a long time. Another battle that's on the racetrack is for the 6th place position. Kai Bomberspach and Rodrigo Munoz, they are battling right now, going on to the front straight, and they have been glued together as well for the last few laps, and it doesn't seem like Munoz can find a good place to get around them, as it just seems like maybe when these cars get so close together that the aero kind of lifts the car off a little bit and it gets into dirty air. But through these through Maggots and Beckett's they go again, and it looks like the Bomberschmack is actually pulling away from Munoz now.
Yeah, on our screen at the moment we're watching this battle for 10th place. Sarah Tessam and Danny Roberts. Danny Roberts, like you said, he's one of those drivers as well that was running in 7th, dropped back to 17th and had to move up, same as Mitch Welker, and he's been slowly doing the same passes as Mitch Welker, just not at the same pace, but he is still right on the back bumper of that 70 machine of Sarah Tessam.
Yeah, Sarah Tessam has kind of found herself in a weird place of being in the middle of the field, not really going forward or backward, and he's got Danny Roberts who's trying to get himself back to where he was up in front. Looks like he's got a side-by-side battle between Welker and Hollabaugh. Hollabaugh is still holding the 8th position, but Welker wants it.
Yeah, Welker is trying every type of move he could think of to get by this 0-2. And just not able to make the move just yet, but really is setting him up, trying to figure out what corner is the best corner to make a passing zone. Another factor we haven't really talked about much and that is the push-to-passes that these drivers are going to have. We are at a road course, which means drivers have 10 push-to-passes to work with. It is an extra boost that these drivers get to have for about 10 to 15 seconds, or gives you an extra 5 to 10 horsepower to work with, usually used on the straightaways. So far, no one has used a single one yet, but still, tend to be utilized all race long.
Alaba and Welker are going side by side into Maggots and almost made contact, but Welker gets the position from Alaba. So we come back onto the back straight. So move Welker up to the 8th position. He's trying to find his way back up to the field. I've said it a million times. I'm going to keep saying it because he's been on a tear and he continues to be on one. Contrary to the other one that spun around, Danny Roberts has found himself actually falling back a little bit. He got up towards Will Roberts, but then fell backwards. Now he finds himself stuck on the 12th position, not really going forward or backward either. It might be the tire wear on that car might have been eaten up during that spin, and I don't think we'll be seeing him up at the front much anytime soon. Although he just made a pass, I don't know who that was that he just passed.
Danny Roberts. Looks like that is Evan. No, those might have been Mike Hurley. That
Brent Jones. Back. I think that's Brent Jones. No, that's not Brent Jones.
No, I don't know who got passed. I think
that's not Hurley. Huh? I don't know who that was.
Able to get by someone. I know
it's
that
the
drivers that had issues that had to come into the pits. Chad Simpson lost it, believe, out of corner number 6, and dumped that 46 machine out. We saw there as the full entire front and back wing were destroyed in the pits, trying to get that repaired. Christian Alesio came in, got new set of wing and tires back out there on track. Brenton Jones started in the pits, and Prokrevki, the 77 machine, it has parked it and is done for the rest of the day.
Yeah, he smacked the wall really hard coming out of the first turn, and yeah, it was an incident. I don't know if he got hit or if he actually hit the rumble strips, but all I saw when I was on him was that car was going forward and then turning hard right into the inside rail, and a tough break for him. As it looks like that our leader Thompson is actually starting to catch up to some one back marker to be precise. That is the 81 of Christian Alesio, who is just now coming onto the front straight, and the 56 of Thompson is just now entering that straight as well. So Alessio's not having a very good run today.
No, we saw Alesio in the first on the first lap, I should say, having issues for that 81 machine, and has just been trying to rebound. So far, just by staying out there on track, he's seen other drivers have issues, and now has set him up front. Will Roberts has now put his machine into the pits, as it looks like he's lost part of his wing as well.
There's another car that I think just teleported to pit road.
That's Alesio that just had issues.
Wow, we had just talked about him.
Right when we hop off of him, he must have lost it out of the corner, and Alesio having issues.
He's retired.
As the 81 machine, we talked about issues, and those issues have now made it to where 2 cars have officially parked this thing. We're watching this battle for 12th place, where we have Mike Hurley and Evan Adams close to one another within a second.
Yeah, they've been eating away at each other's pace for the last couple of laps, and we've been seeing this a lot in this race, where there's a couple of cars that have a run close to each other, but not quite enough to actually get there. A lot of these drivers are probably saving their push to passes until the very end of the race, when these battles are going to be the most important. They only get 10 of them in this race, and you don't want to use them too quickly, because at this stage in the race, it's only lap 9 of 35. We got 25 laps to go in 2 laps time. I would save those as much as I can for the end of the race, as a lot of these drivers are doing. Buchanan, that I'm looking up front, is actually starting to get run down by Rolf and Quinn.
Rolf Quinn, as well as Cohen Evans, were all on top of one another, and they were slowly catching Rolf for a second. But it's Liam Quinn that is coming. Actually, that's Rolf that's catching up to Buchanan, and Buchanan looks like he has got issues of some fashion, maybe used up too much of his stuff, because that 33 machine is there now on the back bumper of the 40.
Through Stowe, he's going to be about 3 car lengths behind as they go into Vale. It's going to be not really a dive bomb. He did have a much later braking zone than Buchanan did, as Buchanan tries to get on the power out of turn 10. They go down into 11. It looks like that ever so slightly Rolf is making up positions. He's driving it down deeper than Buchanan is. I don't know if that's because he's been able to save tires more. Oh, as Buchanan pulls over, I think he got loose.
Got loose, maybe lost it off the rumble strips for a hot second, but now he's under fire by Liam Quinn and the 44, who's been slowly catching up to these drivers, and coming with Liam Quinn is going to be Cohen Evans, so this could possibly be a 4-car battle for second place, as Riley Thompson is loving this action, as his gap was already over 5 seconds. Now it's close to being over 6 seconds now over first and second place.
Indeed, it is, and he's, like you said, he's loving the fact that he's running by himself. This battle for the second place position, actually, it's more of a battle for the third place position, because now Rolf has been able to get away from Buchanan. Buchanan, now under the fires of Quinn, he's right on the back wing of that number 40 machine, and as we come through Chapel onto the hangar straight, it looks like that he may have a run, but not enough to really pull along. Does he use a push to pass? Does not. He is in the slipstream, though. He's going to have a run down into Stowe. Is he going to go around the outside, trying to make a pass? Not enough. Got up into the bump area. Now we're going to go into Vale. Can he get the move done?
Liam Quinn trying to figure out where's the best place to put my nose, and waiting to see a mistake here from Zach Buchanan, who Buchanan started in second, only has dropped down to third place, and right now this 40 machine under heavy fire from the 44. And also want to bring up, I don't know if these drivers actually have a push to pass now, because usually we would see Danny Roberts and others in the back of the field already have used probably 4 if we were on other road courses where push to passes were being used, and I don't believe that push to passes are here for this race. It's all about the toe and how you come up to somebody with the draft.
You've got enough straights that you can do it. There's a number of long ones. You have the front stretch, the hangar straight. You have the straight between Club and Abbey. You have the straight between the exit of Stowe and Vale. There's a lot of places to make a run. And even out of turn 1, as we're about to go down into turns 2 and 3, you have a run into there, and you can maybe hold some momentum through there. If you can get that section of the track right, you can set yourself up for the exit of Chapel, and you can get a mighty run, as we see right now. Quinn has got a run into Maggots and Beckett's again. He's trying to find a way to get through them. Not enough. He has to back off, but now he's setting himself up for the exit of Chapel as they come out into the hangar straight. It looks like he's going to have a run. Can he get the move done into Stowe this time? He's going to pull alongside. Yes, he does. He's alongside, and I think he's got him clear now.
Does have him cleared, and a beautiful pass by Liam Quinn. And it's all about hitting those S's just right, because when you hit it right, man, it feels beautiful in the hands, as well as you just carry so much momentum compared to everyone else.
Yeah, and he got that section absolutely perfect. He backed off going through 2 and 3, and then he set himself for the exit of 6, which is how you get the maximum amount of benefit down the hangar straight. He was able to do it. Also had the slipstream of Buchanan. Beautiful move by Liam Quinn. Probably one of the most picturesque move I think we've seen tonight so far. Puts himself into the third place position.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the cleanest pass we've seen. We've seen drivers be aggressive, like Danny Roberts trying to get through the field. Mitch Welker has now moved himself up to 7th place and gaining closer and closer to Roberto Munoz. The only issue is that right now, Mitch Welker is about 13, almost 14 seconds back from our leader, running in 7th place as Mitch Welker. It might be too far for him to come back and possibly challenge for the lead, but the way that we're seeing our top 3, I mean, 2 through 4 be running right now, there's a chance that we could be seeing Mitch Welker challenge for a top finish here, as Matt Hollabaugh now into the pits.
Hollabaugh pitting as we follow him. Also want to point out that Buchanan's going to get passed by Cohen Evans at this point, so they're going to try and move to the left side. A mirror move that Quinn pulled. He's trying to go around the outside of Stowe, not going to be able to do it. As we look at Hollabaugh again, I think he just took fuel and he's back out.
Back out, ready to go, and Yeah, just deciding it's a fuel stop. I mean, at this point, you might as well just come in, and it's close enough to making it to the end from here on out. So, might as well try something different, and that's what Matt Holloway is doing.
Yeah, yeah, if the tire fall off isn't too bad, then absolutely try it and see what happens. If you think you can make it all the way to the end, and definitely an alternate strategy. It was not an unplanned stop to our knowledge. You probably will be able to make that strategy work for him. Cohen Evans again trying to get their back bump or their front wing to get Zach Buchanan a little unsettled. Mitch Welker is now catching Munoz. That'll be a battle for the 6th position coming down the front stretch.
Yeah, Mitch Welker catching up to the 09 machine and coming with a head of steam. Behind him is Kai Bommersbach, and right now I'm watching Mitch Welker. He is quick. Based off the lap times that are being placed by everyone, Mitch Welker is putting down the fastest laps out here. As I say that, I look further more into it. Danny Roberts actually in 10th place, just put down a faster lap than everyone else that last time around.
They're starting to get the muscle memory of the track into their heads. After a while of driving a track, it'll just become natural to you. And the longer you go and do a run, the faster laps will get, the lighter the cars get, the more the tires get burnt into the racetrack. They will start to pick up the speeds. And, you know, again, Danny Roberts is trying to get back up. Top 10 at the moment, which is considerably better than where he was at the end of lap 1. He's got to be feeling good about that. He's actually running down Sarah Tessum, so we might be able to see a battle between those two in a few laps' time.
On screen, though, Mitch Welker about to set up Munoz for this pass here. And he's so close. He's waiting for the perfect corner to make this pass.
Yeah, he is. He's trying to set himself up for a run down the stretch. We're coming through Luffield at the moment. He's going to try and set himself up to maybe try to take him into Copse. If not, then he's definitely going to set himself up for the hanger straight. It's a mind game with this layout because there's a bunch of places that you can set up moves like half a lap, even a quarter lap down the way, and that's exactly what he's going to do now through Magnuson. Beckett's going to try and do what everyone else has been doing, is set himself up for the exit of Chapel. Not close enough, I don't think, to maybe take him down into 7, but perhaps he will stay with them through the run down to Abbey. Perhaps would actually get him there.
Still close. Might try to outbrake here, dipping it into the inside, but a great defensive move by Munoz to close the door. As we're seeing Mitch Welker trying to move his way throughout the field points-wise this season. Like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, this is race number 7 of 14. Riley Thompson, who is your leader at the race, leading the points as well, as he has made every start so far, has 1 win. Mitch Welker second in points as he gets by Munoz there with a beautiful pass, and is going to be trying to move forward up as drivers are now dealing with lap traffic here. Mitch Welker, though, he is 18 points back from Riley Thompson, and seeing Thompson get another win would not help Mitch Welker during this points run.
No, it definitely wouldn't, and he's got to be feeling gutted now. He has, stopped the bleeding a little bit. Now he's back into the 6th position. Now he's actually starting to run down some lap traffic that we're going to have to deal with. No one else has come down pit road scheduled anyway. But yeah, now we're starting to deal with some lapped cars. It's going to get a little bit more hectic for these drivers.
You got Matt Holloway that came in 2 laps ago. Evan Adams came in a lap ago. There's the only drivers that have come in the last 3 laps to make a pit stop. 20 laps to go for these drivers, and they're inching closer and closer to the halfway marker when they'll have to think about pitting here. As Mitch Welker catching up to lap traffic, I believe that is Brent Jones that's in front of him, as well as that is Mike Hurley. As these drivers are trying to get by lap machines.
Whoa!
Brent Jones decides, I'm going to take the long way around and let all of our leaders go on by.
That's definitely an alternate line. I wouldn't suggest that as the racing line, but he does pull it back onto the track, and no harm, no foul. That car is not looking very good at the moment, though. Something is definitely wrong on the 49, and he is not back up to speed. I have to make sure that he doesn't spin again, but it looks like he's got back going. Should be okay.
Now we're going to move back up to Zach Buchanan, who we saw that was running in 4th place. has now dropped back to 5th as Cohen Evans has now made the pass here on the 40 machine. And Zach Buchanan looks like he needs a pit stop, and he needs it bad, as those tires are not looking good as he's losing so much time on the rest of the field.
There might also be, I don't know if he's doing this on purpose or not, but sometimes some drivers, and I've seen some races where they'll back off to save tires, still be a slightly competitive race pace, and then within the end of a run, just floor it and try to make up those positions back. Now, at this track, it's too long, and with the gaps he's got, I don't think that's the case. I think you're right. I think the tires are just gone as Buchanan has fallen to 5th. He's actually, Mitch Welker's not too far behind, is actually closing the gap. Now, the interval was 3.4 at the beginning of the lap. The interval, well, a lap and a half ago, now it is 3.1, the gap between Welker and Buchanan.
And Danny Roberts pulling it into the pits, and this is right when the window is opening to just make it to the end of the race. It's from lap 17 to 19 is when the drivers are thinking about coming to the pits, as we're now going to move up for the battle for second place. Liam Quinn has somehow found another gear, because he is right on the back bumper of that gearbox of the 33 machine.
Yeah, this battle is heating up as they come out of bridge, and look how far Quinn drives it into the turns. He is not afraid to set that car in, as he's right on the rear wing of the 33 machine, and going through 16 now is arcing it out, trying to get a run down the front stretch. Is actually not going to matter. He's going to come into the pits now.
Deciding now is the time, and it's halfway for these drivers. So you're going to be seeing a lot of machines deciding to come in this lap or in the next, as here comes Zach Buchanan as well, who is really hungry for new tires, as well as Mitch Welker's coming in. And all these drivers that are going to come in, this is short pitting it, and this should give them an advantage, because looking at the times, drivers have been off by about a half a second to a full second off of what their best time was.
Yeah, this is definitely the time to get new tires, although I'm not seeing... Yeah, they are taking tires. Okay. So, yeah, it's definitely the time to get tires. You've been on these tires for a good 18 laps now, and for some of these drivers, they've had spins on those tires, i.e. Welker and Roberts. So they were desperately in need of some fresh rubber. Welker, an extended stay on pit road. Something has happened to the 76 cars. It took him a long time to get back out.
Looks like it could have been a penalty for the 76 of Mitch Welker on why he stayed in as long as he did. Also, I believe there was some contact that I saw earlier when he was making some passes, so possibly the 76 had some damage that needed to get repaired. Now back on track, 9th as currently.
Now that's even more of a gut move, because he was already struggling on the race, and now he's got to make up some more time. And I call me crazy, but I think the points lead is running away. As speaking of the points lead, the points leader has now come into the pits. He's also the race leader.
And also Barrett Rolfe in seconds coming in. We'll see. He has Wells, Cohen Evans comes in. Roberto Munoz. We'll see if Kai Bommerspot comes in. He does. Yes, he was almost missed it, and should be our last driver to come into the pits. Should be the 10 of Joseph Tesoro. And those drivers all pushed it very far, and now it's going to be 17 laps to go for the rest of the field, and you're good to make it to the end. That was your money stop. Now it's all about running quick and getting as much as you can, as the first car on the fresh tires is Liam Quinn, who is out there trying to get up and possibly back into the lead. Has come in out of the course. He's second now, beating out Barrett Rolfe, who he was challenging before he came into the pits.
Yeah, Quinn had a lightning fast stop a lap ago, and now he's rocketed his way up, and he's losing ground still to Riley Thompson. That car has been on a tear. He might have a chance to run down, though. He's got the tow from a lap machine in front of him. They're still within the same straight as each other. No, this race isn't over yet. If Quinn can find some more speed, I dare say that he's probably one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. We should be able to see him get up towards the front.
If anything, Riley Thompson was the fastest car in the first 5 to 10 laps. And then after that, Liam Quinn was starting to become that, as well as Mitch Welker and Danny Roberts. But right now, Liam Quinn is the driver that is set up in the best position. The only issue is that he's 4.5 seconds back from the leader.
Right, we'll have to keep an eye on it as well, because I don't know if it's gone down or up. Looking at it right now, it's kind of hovering in that area. It does look like that Thompson is starting to pull away, though. That time has gone up from 4.4 to now 4.5. So it's looking like you got to find possibly a 7th or 8th gear if you're going to catch Thompson at this stage in the race.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give credit to Liam Quinn because he did gain about a 1.5 seconds on Riley Thompson after short pitting by a lap over the 56 machine. It just wasn't enough to try to make it even shorter than it was. But that last lap, Liam Quinn's actually gained by about a 1/10, it looks like.
Wow. All right. We might have a race on it. Yeah, he's gaining. He's still gaining. It's about a 1/10.5 at this point. We might have a race on our hands.
I mean, we're really like crossing our fingers that we might have a race for the win. Riley Thompson, a lot of his competitors that we're used to seeing up front have either had issues or are not here. So it's been kind of a free ride for that 56 machine. All he has to do is hit his marks and make it to the end. But also, he's going to make sure that he at least stays in front of the 44, as right now, it's the 56 coming in with a head of steam.
Yeah, he started on pole, has never looked back. He's led every single lap except for even the pit lap he's led. So he's led every single lap of this race so far. Good drive for that 56 machine. Our winner 2 weeks ago, as we mentioned, not in this race, so we are not going to have a two-time, or I shouldn't say two-time, but a back-to-back winner tonight, as he is not in this race. That would be the 88 of Jason Brophy is not here, but Thompson putting on a smoke show.
Yeah, Riley Thompson looking for his second win of the season. His first one was back at Pocono, and that was about 3-4 weeks ago that he got that win. And so right now, Riley Thompson looking for his first road win that we thought he was going to get last season, but just missed out time after time. Now, with a possible chance to get it here at Silverstone, as we are inching closer and closer to the end of this thing. 15 laps to go, and these drivers, this race has gone by extremely quick.
Indeed, it has. We looked up, it was lap 5. We looked up again, it's lap 21. These drivers have gone super fast around this racetrack. The closest battle on the racetrack at the moment is Matt Hollabaugh versus Mitch Welker for the 8th position. Hollabaugh is about a half a second behind Welker at this point in the race. He actually stumbled a little bit through the chicane. He's now back to a second now. The second closest battle on the racetrack is going to be the battle for the 5th place position between Buchanan and Munoz. That gap is 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to grow. It looks like Zach Buchanan's finally starting to hit his mark. And that was Mitch Welker that actually made the pass on Matt Hollabaugh and is trying to pull away and now catch up to Bommersbach for that 7th position. But everyone's pretty spread out at the moment, feeling pretty good. And as we're inching closer and closer to the end of this race, Riley Thompson feeling comfortable, feeling confident. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back for the final 12 laps of this race.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the Veterans of Foreign Wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the Veterans of Foreign Wars and fights for the veterans community.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars. No one does more for veterans. For more information on the VFW, go to ahctv.com/sacrifice.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Fuel R/RaceTrackDesigns IndyCar series, and we're here at Silverstone. It's been a wild 24 laps that we've seen these drivers run, but I mean, there's been one consistent, and that's Riley Thompson up front. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Anthony McCurry, and Anthony, it's we've seen some ups, we've seen some downs. Some drivers are trying to look for redemption, but there's only been one car that's been up front all race long.
One car that's been up front and one car that hasn't made mistakes tonight. It's been a picture-perfect race for the 56 team, and you got to imagine that they're going to be celebrating quite handsomely tonight if he is indeed to pull off this win. We are here at Silverstone, like Sam mentioned. We are here for I just had the race name pulled up. Here it is. It's the Midlands Indy Trophy at Silverstone. Next week, we are going to St. Louis, a gateway for the St. Louis Indy 300. That will be a exciting race, and barring anything, Sam and myself will bring you the race, and I'm looking forward to that. But we got a race here to finish out first. Still at the front is Riley Thompson, Liam Quinn, and Barrett Rolfe. That is your top three. Cohen Evans and Zach Buchanan make up your top five. It's been a pretty clean race so far.
Yeah, clean race. It's coming into the pits. Matt Hollabaugh, who we saw short pit it, and looks like he realizes he can't make it to the end. And the 0-2 finally having to come to the pits. Now, I can't speak. Giving the position of 9th place to Danny Roberts. Sarah Tessam now up to 10th place. And at the moment, Sarah Tessam was the last car on the lead lap. We'll see if Matt Hollabaugh goes a lap down here, as Riley Thompson has not been very kind to many racers out here, putting as many cars as he can. One lap down. But yeah, coming to 10 laps to go when Riley Thompson crosses the line again. And going to Gateway for the Worldwide Technology race. That is going to be a fun one to watch. That's for 150 laps. Those drivers, it's the flat Darlington practically, and it's always a wild racetrack to watch these drivers at.
Super fast, and the track has produced some great racing over the years, and we are expecting to have another fantastic race as Thompson is, or someone is graciously pulled over so Thompson can get by. But yeah, when we go to Gateway, it's going to be a fantastic race. A 150 lap. I shouldn't really say shootout. It's more of a longer race, but it's ran like a shootout in the sense that everyone's going to be on top of each other the whole time. If you liked Richmond, imagine how close they were at Richmond, but the track is longer. It's just an overall fun race, and Gateway is a fantastic venue to host IndyCar racing particularly, as well as a number of other series that go there.
Yeah, I mean, for us at FRN, we've watched so many machines go to Gateway, and it always produces great racing action. We can't wait for it. But we are here in Silverstone at the moment, and 10 laps to go, and anything can happen. We're staying on board for this battle for 5th place. Zach Buchanan is being ran down by Roberto Munoz, and Roberto is making a hard charge, but he's been stuck in this 1 second zone from Buchanan, where he'll come in, be within a couple of tenths, then drop back to a second back, and then he'll keep on going back and forth.
They're trying to size each other up on different parts of the track, trying to figure out where each other are good and bad at. So far, it looks like they're pretty evened out once you get the lap done. And, you know, especially at these longer road courses, especially at Silverstone and Spa, definitely at Spa, you'll see where a driver will be good in one section and he'll get caught, and then he'll be the opposite will happen in another section of the track. And by the end of the lap, the interval hasn't changed much, even though that they kind of slinky throughout the entire circuit. And this Silverstone circuit, this layout particularly, has brought about some really good examples of that. So obviously Mackett's, Beckett's, and Chapel have never changed. It's been the same way forever. But Bridge, that entire end of second sector into third sector has been gone back to the 2008 layout, where outside of Club it's actually the longer run and then down into the no longer existing part of the track before you rejoin at turn 15 into Love-Field. But we're seeing a lot of these drivers, they'll size each other up like I mentioned, and then they'll see where they're good at. I've noticed a lot of drivers will make up a lot of ground in Bridge, and then their car will get a little squirrely. Oh, there was a car that spun around.
That was Mike Hurley that was spun around there, able to get out of the way of all those drivers. But yeah, these drivers continue to move on.
Yeah, they no harm, no foul. Everyone gets around, but especially in Bridge, a driver will be behind, have a good toe off the car in front of them, and then their car will get a little twitchy on the exit, and they'll have to back off a little bit and set themselves up for 14 and 15. And you know, it's been one of those races where you got to learn the track, and a lot of these drivers have done that throughout this race. It's just, where do you go? Like, where can I outbrake this guy? How do I get the power down? It's been that battle all night long.
It really has, and you know, we talk about that there hasn't been a lot of tire drop off for these drivers that are running in the middle of the field. They've been running pretty consistent lap times, but for Riley Thompson, it's very odd watching his lap times because he's running so fast. The start of these front of these, I really am struggling tonight. The front of these start of these runs that he then just loses so much time, as he's almost over a second and a half slower than his best time, and almost a half a second slower than some of the drivers that are behind him.
He is able to get a big enough lead, and with as few laps as we have to go, once he gets that lead, he's able to stay out in front and be able to hold off anyone that has a charge. And especially if we get into pit windows, because you got to think that, let's just say that this race was longer than 35 laps. Let's say it's a 45 lap race, for example. There'd be another pit window that we'd have to go through, assuming that the pit window was the same as this race. By the time you get to that pit window and you have to pit again, most of the drivers are coming back in. Yeah, they've caught you by a couple of seconds, but now you're just going to pull that gap again, and you're able to get in front. And then by the next pit window, yeah, the gap is back down to where it was at the beginning of the last stop. However, I mean, you're just going to run away again. So it's that strategy of, let me get as far away as I can, and then see what happens after that.
Right now we're watching Barrett Rolfe, and this 33 machine, a couple of laps ago, was running a little bit faster than Riley Thompson and Liam Quinn. And now both Liam Quinn and Thompson have recognized, hey, we got to get up to speed. This 33 machine's coming, as all three running very similar times of a 1:28.7.
Yeah, and the gap really hasn't gone away either between Thompson and Quinn. Thompson has maintained about a 4.5 second advantage over Quinn since the last cycle. Rolfe, on the other hand, has definitely gained on Quinn since the last cycle, and this might be the closest battle towards the end of this race for the second place position. It would be a podium position if we were in Formula One, but we are not Formula One. We're in IndyCar. It's been kind of like watching a classic Formula One race, though. Even though that these are newer cars, they kind of have similar aero package that older Formula One cars had, so they respond to the track differently, and it's been kind of fun to watch. It's kind of reminiscent of the old days of Formula One.
Yeah, close action from the start. They get spread out a little bit, but pit stops brings everyone back into one another, and we've got this battle here for second, as well as Mitch Welker catching up to Kai Bommersbach in 7th place. So Mitch Welker starting to move back up, but as I say that, he's actually losing time on the 37 machine.
Yeah, he hasn't quite recovered from that first lap spin that he had, and it's a shame. He had such high hopes going into this race, and he was trying to close in on the points lead, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen today. It's his closest competitor, which is the points leader, is got a healthy lead up at the front of the field. Another driver that had early race woes is actually behind him now on the racetrack is Danny Roberts. He's only been able to get best of 9th place. And yeah, again, it's just in these situations where these drivers are so close together in terms of skill, and since they're all using the same setup, it really does come down to driver skill. And a lot of these drivers are so close together in terms of that department that, well, if you have a spin, it's going to be really hard to get back to the front of the field, because now you're racing a lot of drivers who are on the same skill level as you. But he has clawed his way back up to 9th place position, and it looks like if nothing else changes, that is the best it's going to get for that 41.
Yeah, the 41 machine having a great day so far here today.
Yeah, definitely having a good run so far. Sarah Tessum was one of those drivers that kind of was bouncing around the top 10, 7th on back at least. Now found herself in a solid 10th position. Got that is a 1.2 second lead over. My graphics kind of messed up a little bit.
She's got about an 8.5 second gap over Matt Hollabaugh, but then in front of her, she's about 32 seconds away from Danny Roberts. But this battle here for 7th place, it is finally there, as Mitch Welker within 0.3 of Bommersbach. We'll see if Mitch Welker can make the pass here in the final 5 laps of this race.
Down through Maggots and Beckett's again, and looks like he's going to try and set himself up for the run down the hanger straight. He's doing it pretty nicely as they go through Chapel. No, that's a part of Beckett's. As now they come through Chapel, and he does have a run down the hanger. He's going to try and dive it into Stowe. Will he reserve his dive bomb? I don't think he's not close enough to do it. He's going to hang back for now, but this battle has heated up between Bommersbach and Welker.
And this is a close action here as well for up front in second. As we're going to move up there, Barra Rolfe able to get by Liam Quinn because Liam Quinn had an issue.
We totally missed that. I just now realized that as well. And he's actually fallen quite a ways back. And I don't know, he didn't quite go all the way around. It must have gotten loose somewhere on the racetrack and had to correct it. These cars seem like they get a little twitchy when the run goes on, and especially if you get on the curbs. The amount of oversteer that happens in these cars is quite intense. Give the position to Quinn, or to Ralph rather, as Quinn falls back to 3rd, and Cohen Evans might catch him by the end of this race.
Cohen Evans is coming with the head of steam. Liam Quinn getting loose, losing a lot of time. Now back in 3rd place. We'll see if any other positions can be gained. Roberto Munoz once again within a half a second of the 40 machine of Zach Buchanan, and Buchanan doing just what he's been doing. He's been hitting those markers, and every once in a while you see Munoz just hitting his a little bit better and catching up to the 40. But then once he gets this close, he loses all that time.
Yeah, again, it's kind of the effect that he has, and through Stowe, he's going to try the high line, he's going to arc it in, try to get the run out, but Buchanan shuts the door. This is a battle for 5th place position. Top 5 is what Munoz wants, and he's got the car to do it, I feel. It does seem like he's faster than Buchanan is. He's got to find a place to set himself up in order to make the pass. But Buchanan, again, through the final bit of Sector 2 into Sector 3, does pull away. Munoz still on the charge. He's still within a couple of seconds, but he's running out of laps. He's only going to have 3 laps to go when they cross the line. If he's going to make a move, he's got to do it quick.
Roberto Munoz looking for his second top 5 finish of the season. As Roberto Munoz he's been trying to run consistent, has 4 top 10s, only 1 top 5 so far. Really, this 09 machine, we're used to seeing him being consistent and getting a lot of top 10s. It's what he did last season, trying to continue that into this season. And right now, Buchanan is under a lot of heavy fire at the end of this race. And usually at this point, you're hoping that you've got enough gap lead on everyone else that you're around, but that's just not the case here for 5th place.
Not at all, and this battle's not going to go away to the end of the race. It's going to be a 3-lap battle. Buchanan's going to make that wing as long as he can. He's trying to make that car as wide as he can, weaving around the racetrack, trying to find any bit of place that he can block the advances of the 09. And down the hanger again, he's going to set up another run into Stowe. Will he have the run to do it? He definitely has a run. He's going to go to the outside of the track. He's going to try and make the run around the outside. He's got the grip. He's got the place at the moment, but Buchanan not going away. Down into Vale, what's going to happen through the chicane into 9? Looks like that Munoz is going to have the position into Vale. Give that 5th place to Munoz in the 09, but Buchanan is not going away just yet. This is where he's better in the track. He's better in the 3rd section of the racetrack. Will Buchanan try to make a run back to the front stretch, or do you think that car has run out of steam?
I mean, it's kind of more of is Munoz going to make a mistake here? We know that Buchanan's going to continue just running the way that he has, and it's been Munoz that had to be aggressive here to make that pass, and aggression has worked out for the 09, but here comes Buchanan, firing back at that gearbox. He's right there. He's running a little bit lower, and it looks like he's carrying his momentum a lot better here at the end of this course.
Through Luffield, he's going to have the run going down under Woodcote, down to the run into Copse. What is he going to do at the end of this straight? Can he make a run? Does he have enough to make a run? Maybe if he can get the draft and have a better run through this turn, it looks like he might have. Yes, he has. He's been able to stick with him. Now we go to Mackets and Beckett's again. Will he set up a run down into Stowe? We'll have to find out, but as they go through these S-curves, will he be able to make this run? Yay or nay? Looks like no, as Munoz is going to pull away.
At the start of those S's, it looked like Buchanan had the momentum and to carry it forward. It was at the end, that final bend, where he just overshot it with too much speed and was not able to keep up with Munoz. Now that gap is almost a second long.
Yeah, I don't think Buchanan has anything left. It definitely looked like that Munoz was the faster car, but Buchanan really hasn't gone that far away. Again, this is where he is better in the 3rd part of the track. What can he do? Can he get back up to the rear wing of the 09? Or will this be the end of it? I don't think he has enough speed, but he is driving it into these turns. He's trying to find every advantage that he can to get back up to Munoz.
And that's where this battle for 5th place that is just ramping up more and more. There also was about to be a challenge here. As white flag in the air for Riley Thompson. A battle for 3rd place. As we saw Liam Quinn have his issues losing time, Cohen Evans is caught up to that 44 machine and is coming to that gearbox here, but does he have enough time? He's got to run about a second faster than the 44 if he wants a chance to catch up and make the pass.
He definitely seems faster. Those tires on the 44 are definitely going to be a little bit more worn. If he spun the rear tires, he's going to be struggling for grip. Down the hanger for the final time for these two drivers, for all these drivers really, into Stowe. I don't think he's going to be have enough of a run. I think he's too far back to do anything. I would give that position to Quinn, barring any other incident.
And right now, Riley Thompson feeling comfortable, feeling confident. This 56 machine got the pole, never looked back, just continued to pull away from the rest of the field as he's hitting all of his marks here, coming to the end of the stretch. Riley Thompson is looking very good to get his 2nd win of the season.
Indeed he is. Through 14 for the final time into the new part of the track. Coming through 15 under Luffield once again. He started first. He's going to finish first, leading almost, I believe he led every single lap of this race. Your winner here at Silverstone is going to be the 56 of Riley Thompson. He wins tonight.
Riley Thompson, a 2-time winner this season, top of the points entering this race, and only going to extend those points as Riley Thompson gets the win here today.
Fantastic drive from everyone in the top 3, but Riley Thompson was able to pull away all night long and was able to secure a gigantic lead at the end of the race, about a 5-second lead. By when all said and done, fantastic run for the 56, and that's going to extend his points lead even more as Mitch Welker is going to have to settle for 7th place. So the points lead looking more out of reach for that For that 76 team.
Yeah, Mitch Welker, second in points at the moment. He's going to have to come back into this thing. Bommersbach also did not have the best day compared to Riley Thompson. He will probably be losing a lot of points here. Jason Brophy didn't even make today's race. Really, Roberto Munoz might be able to gain some points on the drivers in front of him as he, coming into this race, 5th in points, and comes away with a 5th place finish.
Yeah, a good run for Munoz. He started mid-pack, and he was able to make his way up into the top 5. And you know that pass on Buchanan was all he needed to. There's a saying that top 5 is always possible, and Munoz definitely had that in the back of his mind as he pulls a fantastic 5th place position. Cohen Evans and Liam Quinn are going to make up the 3rd and 4th place position respectively, and Barrett Rolfe will be 2nd.
And man, just looking at where the drivers finished out this race, I think Mitch Welker as well as Danny Roberts probably our biggest comeback drivers of the race after the way that their race started on lap number 1 for some of these guys, but also back on those laps, about lap 4 is when we started seeing cars spinning it around. Matt Hollebach at 11th, and then everyone else went a lap down or had issues from about 14th on back. So, you know, not the best day for some, but, you know, the driver that's excited to see this win and got to burn it down is Riley Thompson. As we look at the way these top 10 drivers finished, I mean, a great run for all of them.
Yeah, indeed. It was a good run for all these. Sarah Tessum ended up getting 9th place at the end of this race. She clawed her way back up, started mid-pack and finishes mid-pack, but a good run for that 70 team. Kai Bommersbach in the 8th position. A solid 8th place for them. Danny Roberts, like you mentioned, made up to 10th. The top 10 really had a great day. Another driver that didn't have such a great day is Matt Hollabaugh in the 02, as he started towards the front of the field and slipped back into the 11th position. He's going to look for another. He's got to look for a better run when we get to St. Louis. But these British fans got to see a show tonight here at Silverstone, and Riley Thompson, your winner again, and again a fantastic run by that team.
Yeah, it really was. We actually got word of what happened to Mitch Welker. It wasn't a penalty. He actually had some issues and needed repairs, and that's what brought that 76 machine to have a longer pit stop than everyone else, and honestly hurt that machine from getting a possible top 5 finish.
Yeah, that was when he came down pit road. He was in the top 5, and everyone left, and he was still sitting there. And it must have been damage that was getting close to being terminal, because they wouldn't have taken the time to fix it if they thought they could get around the rest of the race, leaving it the way it was. But these cars aren't super aero dependent, so if it was a little bit of damage on the wing, they might have been able to get away with it. We're not really sure what was wrong, but it was enough that they needed to fix. A tough break for Welker, and man, we just, again, something happens and takes away a good run, but Riley Thompson and Barrett Rolfe definitely had a fantastic run tonight. No problems for those two drivers.
Yeah, I mean, Barrett Rolfe, he was battling with Liam Quinn all race long. They kept on swapping positions from 1st and 2nd, and honestly, Riley Thompson didn't really have to worry about much except for lap traffic there, as that 56 machine was just, once he got out to about a 4-second lead, he was bouncing back from 4 to 5 seconds all race long, but he just felt comfortable where he was at. If he made a simple mistake, he just rebounded, got back into his rhythm, and pushed forward. As we're waiting for more drivers to be getting ready for interviews, we actually only have one driver at the ready. We're going to be bringing him in. That's Barrett Rolfe. Barrett finished 2nd here today and just had an adventurous day overall. Barrett, it's Sam and Anthony up at the booth. You got us?
Yeah.
Well, the last time we saw you at a road course, you finished 1st. This time today, you finished 2nd. It was a battle that you had to go through with Liam Quinn, but how was it on your end?
Yeah. So I did my fuel calculations before the race started and realized that like you could barely make it on a 1-stop, but with the odd number of laps, like you had to split it in half. And so I was driving to a fuel number my entire first stint, and I kicking myself because I cost myself 3 or 4 seconds. I thought I was good on my in lap, and so I went hammer down, and I sputtered coming out of the last turn and coasted into my box with no fuel in the engine off. So I probably lost 3 or 4 seconds on the the pit stop cycle there, so that would have put me right on the back of Riley. But still P2, so good result.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see you battling with Liam there for most of the end of before that first pit stop, and for coming out of the pit stop. How was it battling around that 44 machine?
Yeah, so I ran the strategy I did so that I could if I went an extra lap on the first stint, then I could not worry about fuel saving on the second one. And I didn't use any push to pass until there was 10 laps left. And so for 5-6 laps in a row, I was hitting the button, every lap and running them down. So unfortunate that he made a mistake, because I was looking forward to battling for P2 there. But
we've seen a lot of drivers tonight. They were setting up moves, and earlier in the race, we saw you setting up moves coming out of turn 2 through Maggots Beckett's, and then down the hanger straight. You were trying to make moves down into the 7th turn. Was that the best place to make passes, or do you feel that there was another place of the track that was equally able to make passes for position?
yeah, it's one of the better passing opportunities for sure, just because the hanger straight is so long on the way down there. You can get a really good run. Plus, if you're using the button, that's the best place to do it, because you can just, you can use that extra boost all the way down the straightaway. I've always, kind of liked this track in general. I thought I preferred the newer layout, but this was a lot of fun racing this configuration.
What Barrett? I mean, we saw that you are consistent at road courses. Like we said, you won at the last one we were at Belle Isle, and then the second place here. Next week we get to go to Gateway, and how are you feeling about going there?
It's not one of my favorite tracks, but it should be some good racing. So we'll see what happens. We had an all-star race during the break, and I had a couple good races there that I wasn't really expecting. So hopefully I can, carry that into the race coming up.
Well, let's hope that you're able to do that. Before we let you go, though, we're going to hand the floor off to you.
Yeah, Ascari Autosport, Manny for all his support, Apex Hunters United, Fuel Series, and you guys here at Flatout. The whole thing's really fun.
Well, that's Barrett Rolfe coming in with a second place finish for that 33 machine. Hopefully we get to talk to you next week there, Barrett.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, overall, a fantastic run for these guys. But the man that dominated it all, that's Riley Thompson. We're going to bring him up into the booth. Riley, it's Sam and Anthony. You got us?
Yep.
Well, it seemed like just based off of qualifying, you were going to be the car to beat. And once you took off, there was no one near you once you took off from that first initial start. How are you so good at this track?
I have no idea, to be honest.
I mean, it just seemed like you were by yourself, and the only cars really to worry about was lap traffic and also the fuel and when you had to come in. Was there any issues on your end while racing here? Because it looked like you had a pretty perfect racetrack.
Yeah, really no issues. I think it was kind of scary seeing how fast we were lapping some people, but besides that, I mean, I think that race went about as good as it could have.
Yeah, you had a wicked fast car all race long. There was a lot of parts of this track that some of these drivers are struggling through. We saw a couple incidents happen in the first turn. Was there any part of the track that you might have felt that the car was a little unhappy, or do you think it was pretty solid track and car combo as this was the older layout?
I'd say the whole kind of middle sector of the track would get kind of sketchy sometimes. You'd have to make sure you're being half throttle and you couldn't be full throttle. But other than that, I mean, I guess that felt not bad.
Yeah, I mean, Riley, you came into this race with the points leader, and then getting this win is just going to help your points even more. We're going to Worldwide Technology Raceway, otherwise known as Gateway, next week. How are you feeling about going there?
Pretty good. Also, the race I think went pretty well. We were in the lead before netcode happened, and I think it would have been very good racing with Wood there. But hopefully, maybe we'll see him back next week, and maybe I can get a win there.
Well, let's hope so. Riley, great run on your part. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Well, as always, got to thank Craig Sapp Shop and Linford Motorsports for sponsoring our Sims Esports car. It's always great to see on track with Fight Liveries painting it, and hopefully, and I think it looks pretty good on the broadcast too every week.
Well, that's Riley Thompson coming in the 56 machine, getting his second win of the season. Congratulations, Riley, and hopefully we get to talk to you next week.
Hope so. Thanks, guys.
Well, as we're starting to wrap things up here, Anthony, what are some of your final thoughts of the evening?
This track has produced some good racing for these drivers, and I enjoyed seeing these cars on this track. It kind of brought back old memories of Formula One before the track got reconfigured and the cars got more advanced. It kind of brought back some old nostalgia. But these drivers put on a fantastic show tonight. Again, Riley Thompson just never looking back, got out front and stayed there. Some great battles on the racetrack tonight, and I am actually looking forward to when some other series come to this track again, because it has been a fantastic show, and I think a lot more leagues should come to this track.
It really has put on a great show. Riley Thompson, who's had woes at road courses with having simple mistakes here or there, finally cleaned it up, and that 56 machine was quick, fast, got the pole, got the win, and that 56 machine has his second win of the season. Riley Thompson, a great start for the first half of the season. I mean, that was only race 7 of our 14 this season, and it's only going to ramp up from here on out as drivers now need to run consistent, get the wins if they want a chance to battle it out for the points championship with Riley Thompson.
Yeah, it's a long way to go to get to that points lead now. As I saw the other battle in the towards the front of the field for the points had some struggles tonight. Mitch Welker being the biggest one. But next week, if all the drivers that are in the points battle show up, and by chance something happens, you got to be there for that opportunity to leapfrog through the field. Because let's say by chance that Thompson has an issue next week, the fact that you need to put yourself in a position that you can take the points lead, because it's not out of reach yet, and we're only about halfway through the season, so you got to use the second half of the season to regather yourself, and by the end of this season we should have a fantastic points battle, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's really getting excited. It's ramping up. But like always, Anthony, thank you for being in the booth with me here today.
It's been a pleasure, Sam. I enjoy doing all these open wheel races with you, and I can't wait for Monday when we do the Formula One League. And again, thanks to FRN for this opportunity to come on and commentate with you guys. It's been fantastic, and look forward to the future.
And that is it here at Silverstone for the Fuel R/Racing Track Designs. These guys have put on another great show here, but here on FRN, the action continues on, as tomorrow we've got ourselves having the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series going to Bristol as they're continuing on with their playoffs, trying to figure out who will move on to the next round of 12, as that series is just heating up. And then also on Saturday, you've got the Veterans of Foreign Wars Cup Series. They'll be at Bristol as well, as they're coming to their final round of stage number 1 of playoffs. So those drivers heating up, mixing it up, and getting excited. But for us here on Flatout Racing Network, for myself, Sam Dyer, and for Anthony McCurry, I got to say thank you for watching another presentation of the Flatout Racing Network, and have a great rest of your night.